ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल शिवा अरुणाचल। Namaste, my dear friends. Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi used to take the help of scriptures very less because he had the real experience of spirituality. His each and every word was full of divine force because he has the experience of divine matters, spiritual matters, and he had the experience. So he was not depending upon the scriptures, and he was more inclined to bring the devotees to have belief in their own self and not to depend upon the teachings imparted by scriptures. So his way of imparting the spiritual message was very subtle, very unique, and his teachings used to enter the hearts of the devotees because his every word was out of experience. Because most of the people, what they do, they simply relay the message of the scriptures to the devotees without having any practical experience of the divinity, practical experience of the teachings they are imparting. So they were simply acting as mediator between the scripture and the devotees. But Maharishi, he was himself the scripture, he was the experiencer. So his every word and sentence was the sentence of Vedas, Shastras, Upanishads. So we must first believe in us, then must believe the teachings of Maharishi. See, my saying, I don't mean that we should give more importance to us than Maharishi. No, that is not the meaning. Because remember, Maharishi used to emphasize that Atma of everybody is the same. Atma is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, and that is applicable to the Atma of every human being. So we should not misunderstand. Straightway we should not just try to find out meaning of our own. No, because Atma is Atma, and Atma of everybody is same. There is no difference. Difference comes in the ego, difference comes in the mind, difference comes in the intellect, difference comes in the effect of Maya on our personality. So we have to be very clear. So the Maharishi's wordless doctrine is unlike the usual traditional teachings. That means wordless means because Maharishi was not using the teachings of scriptures. Whatever he used to tell the devotees, that was out of his own experience. So there are no creeds to be elaborated. So there is no need for preaching. There is nothing for the mind to theorize or philosophize about. What is needed is immediate intuitive understanding of the heart. Sometime he was not speaking at all, and the message was imparted to the devotees through silence. The intricate maze of philosophy of the various schools is set to clarify matters and to reveal the truth, but in fact, it creates confusion where none need exist. To understand anything, there must be the self. Self means Atma. The self is obvious, so why not remain as the self? What need to explain the non-self? Here, Maharishi meant the non-self means we should not talk much about the matter which is not connected to our divinity, to our Atma. What the seeker has to do is rather to unlearn and let go all his preconceived ideas about the self. See, we believe much more on our own preconceived ideas. Indeed, the Maharishi has been known to say that in the end, even the scriptures must be given up and unlearned. All scriptures, without exception, proclaim that for attaining salvation, the mind should be subdued. So, the teachings of scriptures is through mind and intellect. So, when the mind is destroyed, what does it mean? Whatever is learnt from these scriptures, that is also to be vanish. It is to be discarded. That is the simple meaning. And once one knows that control of the mind is their final aim, it is futile to make an interminable study of them. What is required for such control is actual inquiry into oneself by self-integration. Who am I? Here, who, that is the query, am, existence. I, here, this I is ego. Remember, who am I? Ego is putting the question to ego itself. How can this inquiry in quest of the self be made by means of a study of the scriptures? Wonderful. This reminds one of Chuang Tzu Chuang Tzu's saying that if one gets rid of small wisdom, great wisdom comes in. There are no precepts for special austerities, while at the same time, indulgence is not condoned. The question always is, who is it that seeks all this? To refer a second time to a Taoist says it is like Li Su's story of the animal trainer who subdued his tigers, the vasanas, by treating them quite impersonally, neither gratifying their desires nor provoking their anger. All thinking is out of the place as a means of sadhana. It is not one's true nature. It creates all errors, and what is worst of all, creates as the father of them a false entity, the ego or individual being. Concentration is not thinking of one thing. On the contrary, it is excluding all thoughts. Since all thoughts obstruct the sense of one's true being, all efforts are to be directed simply to removing the veil of ignorance. See, people they think concentration means just concentrating, putting efforts, putting self attention on a single sentence. That is wrong. No, we have to just have self attention on our Atma only, no other sentence, no sentence which is of non self. So, concentration does not mean focusing on a single sentence. No, no. We have to avoid all the thoughts. All thoughts are to be avoided, and the focus must be on our Atma. That is self attention, self awareness. So, if we are focusing on a single sentence, single thought means what? What is thought? Thought is the mind. That means you are strengthening your mind. But in our self-inquiry, what is our aim? We have to destroy the mind. So this is contrary. We have to focus on the self, discarding all other thoughts. That is concentration. So we should not be contradictory if we focus on a sentence that is other than the self, that thought is non-self. So we must focus on our own Atma. We have to have self-attention. We have to have self-awareness. This is concentration, not focusing on a thought. The Maharshi says that the self is not in books. If it were, anybody might become a sage by study. Also, it is not in any hermitage, and going to live in solitude will not help. That means we need not leave our home. See, why do you think you are a householder? The similar thought that you are a sannyasi will haunt you even if you go forth as one. Whether you continue in the household or renounce it and go to live in the forest, your mind haunts you. What is our basic aim? Our basic aim is to destroy the mind. So whether we are in home, whether we are in the forest, we have to just destroy the mind. So it is not necessary that leave your home and settle in a forest. Not required at all. The ego is the source of thought. Remember, this ego, this is the first thought, that is, I am the body. This is basic thought. This is the root thought. This is ego. And rest all other thoughts, they follow this basic thought. Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram. So the Maharshi says that the self is not in books. If it were, anybody might become a sage by study. Also, it is not in any hermitage, and going to live in solitude will not help. So, dear friends, I end the video here and will continue this topic in the next video. Thank you. Please share, comment and like the video and subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.